guess the digital product development and indeed the digital business team kind of formed about 4 or 5 years ago. In fact, we've been making money from digital content for about 10 years, and that initially was through content licensing and the sale of audio-visual content to other platforms. 4 years ago when I started, we thought we would be doing some kind of commercial web network, and two reasons that didn't happen. One was it just wasn't the right business model for the ABC with the charter. I think legally it wasn't prevented, but just a sort of philosophical mismatch with that approach, and also the bottom fell out of the online advertising market in terms of pricing. So we didn't go that route. And then Apple arrived, and everybody started making apps.
It's been fascinating, actually, to see how the industry has changed, but also to see how news has changed as well in terms of their focus. So, as I said previously, when I started in mobile, we were first looking at ringtones, wallpapers, and games, and we did a reverse auction, an SMS reverse auction, which was very successful. But no one thinks about stuff like that now, and to see it evolve to where it is now, it's fascinating and very exciting. And also in terms of the capabilities of these phones, it's amazing how the technology, the industry, people consumption habits has changed. It's really interesting to see, and I watch with interest to see where it's going to go.
For us, it's all about, when someone's holding your app in their hand, what kind of experience do they get? Where are the buttons? What do they tap? Like, is it easy to use? Is it not easy to use? And it's not an exact science. Like, it's just a bit of an art that we try to sort of perfect over time. And I really don't like turning it into a discussion about science and marketing and social, and it is just another aspect of building a product. You've got to make a good product. It's not rocket science, really.
What we've done is, it's taken a while, but we think that we've waited a good amount of time to do a few things very well, and that's really important to us, just doing a few things very deep and very targeted.
Of course, when it went up and we saw the asterisks instead of spics, we were really like, oh my God, what are they doing to our brand? It turned out to be a real boon because the media picked it up, and we got a lot of media because Apple had mucked around with Spics and Specs, which is obviously it's like the iconic music show for Australia, and people are really passionate about it. Apple quietly dropped the censorship about 2 weeks later, and it's now reads like it's supposed to.
Unfortunately, the level of marketing doesn't allow, through the App Store, doesn't allow that level of reporting to know what is working best at a granular level. We do know that obviously when we had the promotion on air that's when we started to get a significant uplift in the downloads.
Okay, and
at the moment, the way that we're doing it is we're using Corona, which is a third-party application, and that seems to be working out really well. It's something that's based on Lua language, and so some of our Flash guys that were doing ActionScript combined with some of our guys that are doing Xcode can work together, and it's worked out really well. I mean, porting to the iPhones worked out really, really well. We're now at the next stage, which is taking that same code and then porting it out to the Android devices. Of course, we've still got the issue with all the different canvas sizes and different specs for the Android devices. So we've still got a long road ahead of us. And I think to us the only way that we're going to approach it is to use third-party applications.
So at the moment we're only got one Android app, and that's the food app has been developed for Android and for iPhone. The difference at the moment is purely that we can't. It's different developments, and I was actually joking to someone before. It's like the old browser wars. You have to keep developing the different standards and different ways. So for us, that's a restriction at the moment, and it's we see Android as really strong for the future, and we absolutely will be developing for every for every device. Just at the moment, because we've launched just a few things, and we've just focused at the moment, but we will continue next year to develop for other platforms.
For the 7-inch Samsung Galaxy, we were preloaded when that was initially launched into the market. But other than that, we haven't really... we're looking at Android, but, the development is quite expensive. So we're trying to assess... we're trying to actually work out whether there's a solution that will allow us to work across a whole range of different marketplaces. We're still not experimenting, but, trying to look at things.
So every decision for us is a commercial one. The Apple obviously was a no-brainer, and Android, the guys are busy working on an Android version as well. Android's a fragmented market. You've got different operating systems, you've got different screen sizes. So, it's not an easy platform to develop for, but we've had an overwhelming response from Android users saying, please can we have an Android app? So the guys are busy working on one. I'm not sure on the exact due date for when it's meant to go live. I think it's in the next couple of months, really. But that's something to be looking forward to.
Look, it's a really tricky one. Like when we launched the Spics and Specs quiz for iPhone, we immediately got a lot of feedback through Facebook from Spics and Specs fans that they wanted an Android version. And the numbers that we see are that there's the greatest audience and greatest engagement on iOS devices. I think because the Specs audience is kind of 35 to 55, perhaps they're not quite so locked into Apple and they are more on Android devices. But the quiz was quite a complex development in the end, and it really does come down to whether we think we can make the revenue to at least pay the app back, let alone actually to make money from it.
Okay. So
but that said, we do have one Android application in development at the moment. I can't tell you what it is, but it's going to be a platform rather than just a simple product.
From following the response on Twitter and the App Store, we sort of go into meltdown with mostly positive comments. So I hear what you're saying. There were one or two about the advertising, or the fact that it had advertising. As I say, the fact that our apps have advertising is really tough. It's something that people have got to put up with. We're a commercial business, so it's part of the product. If I had a penny for every time someone told me that an idea I had or a product I'd done was slightly off kilter, I'd be a very rich man. So I think you just got to have the sense. As I say, in my presentation, I spoke about the fact that we'd put it by stakeholders. Before we launched, we had really good feedback from the guys at Apple, from sponsors, from internal stakeholders, from industry experts, which showed it to lots of customers. So we had a good sense of confidence about it. And the thing that kind of, I guess, a proof point for us is not what people say, but how it's used. So we've had over 280,000 downloads. The monthly usage figures have gone stronger and stronger. Month and month, we're getting better and better. So it doesn't take much to kind of ignore the negative comments.
We listen to all our feedback, but you're always going to find people that are really going to love your product or you're going to hate it. And, the views on either side. We're trying to cater for people that love our products, love to read our content. We try to make sure that it's a very good product that they can use. You're always going to have people that are negative or have something negative to say because, I don't know, it could be a million different reasons. So we monitor it and we read it. We don't take it personally, and we respond to people that come directly to us. The best way that we can. And actually what you find is the majority of people just want to be heard. So as long as, we take their feedback on board, respond to them, it's usually quite good.
Yeah, so what we find is whenever we release a new version of a product that our support goes up. People want to know how to use new features. People want to know, sometimes they want to congratulate you, they want to abuse you, whatever. You get more emails. So typically after we release a new release of anything, we tend to spend about an hour a day sort of answering support emails. So there's myself and Philip, we both sort of look after those, so maybe like half an hour a day each. And then as a product's been out there for a little while, that tends to settle down. So it'll go down to maybe 15 emails a day, which is quite manageable really. So it's not that bad. And then at the moment we're investing all our time in our existing apps. So at the moment we're doing another refresh of Pocket Weather for the summer. We've kind of missed the summer, but we're trying. And then after that we're going to look at what are we going to do that's new.
Yeah, comments in the App Store can make or break you within a few days, and again, it depends on your audience. So Spics and Specs quiz, we had a few hiccups and a couple of bugs and things that people didn't like they wanted to see the answer for musician or serial killer, for instance. And so we worked really hard to try and get that fixed as soon as we could, and the community were, I think, really engaging and trying to help us and sort of making quite helpful comments about what they didn't like about the app. Angry boys, young men, angry boys. There was a lot more kind of, rage and just straight out, 1-star fail kind of comments, and it's easy to destruct and not so easy to create. And we try not to take it personally, but when there are comments that involve the development or bugs or things like that, we obviously take notice and we do try and fix them.